channel. This is J.Max Reax, and tonight I'm watching another music documentary that says why Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Nicki Minaj dominated the 2010s. This is by Kalissa Sky. Let's see what she says.
The 2010s was probably one of the weirdest decades in music history.
Yeah.
If you've seen my past videos, I've gone into detail about how the 2000s shifted our music culture and eliminated the popularity of R&B music and especially Black women artists as a whole. And this was due to how the internet changed the way people receive their music. And starting in the late 2000s into the 2010s, streaming became a big game changer. In fact, the entertainment industry as a whole was suffering towards about 2008, and this was also due to the economy being at its worst. But three women who were able to beat the odds were Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Nicki Minaj. In fact, they were the only Black mainstream artists to really become household names and become very popular globally throughout the 2010s. Beyoncé and Rihanna both had careers in the 2000s. Beyoncé started her solo career in around 2003, and Rihanna came out with her first hit in 2005. Nicki Minaj became mainstream as a member of Young Money, and she was first introduced in 2009 on the hit hip-hop song Bedrock, which was a Young Money collab. The whole Young Money thing actually kind of confuses me because in some songs it says that it's Young Money and it's not all of Young Money, so just know that her first hit was with other rappers that were a part of Young Money. So with all of the obstacles that Black women in the music industry had, how were these artists, Rihanna, Beyoncé, and Nicki Minaj, able to stay relevant, extremely popular, and excel throughout the 2010s? Keep in mind, all three of them played the game really, really well. And like I said in my Black Women Selling Pop video, there was one central sound that all genres started to use in the late 2000s, starting in 2008. Well, first off, Rihanna has always done pop music, and she started her career in about 2005, so she didn't have a problem with transitioning her sound. Beyoncé included more pop elements in her hit songs in 2006 with her album B-Day. This included her hit songs Irreplaceable and Beautiful Liar with Shakira. And yes, we did have Ciara, who had an extremely successful run with her Evolution era in 2006. However, Ciara's R&B music included elements of hip-hop, and she did not really experiment with pop the way that Beyoncé and Rihanna did during that time period.
Yes, she did.
And it wasn't until her Fantasy Ride album in 2009 where she fully embraced the electro-pop sound.
And it was a phenomenal-ass
album. At the time she started embracing electro-pop, it was a little too late. And she didn't have transitionary songs during her Evolution period in 2006. We already had several Black women artists who excelled in electropop and pushed out hit after hit, which were chart toppers. And this brings me to the point of consistency. Rihanna and Beyoncé were extremely consistent when it came to hit after hit and just singles as a whole that were being released from their album.
They did.
Now, of course, they couldn't be consistent without the industry initially investing, but they worked very hard to get where they needed to be when it came to their releases becoming number ones. Beyoncé's mainly electropop album in 2008, named I Am Sasha Fierce, had not one, not two, but 9 singles that were released between 2008 and 2009, and many of these singles charted very, very high. From 2004 to 2009, Rihanna created multiple albums during this time period. She released 5 singles from Good Girl Gone Bad, and also released an additional 4 singles from Good Girl Gone Bad Reloaded. She also released 6 singles from Rated R between 2009 and 2010. Ciara released 4 singles from Fantasy Ride in 2009. However, out of the 4 singles that were released, only one of those singles made it to the Billboard charts. Carrie Hilson released 8 singles from In a Perfect World in 2008. Only 2 of those songs made it to the Billboard 100, and most of these singles did better internationally. When Nicki Minaj made an appearance in 2009, remember, we did not have any prominent female rappers at that time.
Right.
However, Nicki offered something extremely different that we have not seen in the late 2000s. We hadn't seen anything like this from Remy Ma and Lil Mama, and that was the fact that she was basically a pop artist as well as a rap artist. And it wasn't just that she did pop on top of her rapping. We had a woman rapper who did silly alter ego voices and rapped and sang on electropop beats.
Yeah.
She sang like an electropop artist in the 2010s and late 2000s. That was extremely unique. But there's something else that really made these three artists stand out.
I like these
from
images
other
with them.
Black artists that came out during this time period.
Oh, she know that person? Oh, yeah.
If you did not have a larger-than-life persona, literally embodying an alter ego or an exaggerated version of yourself as an artist, you did not move ahead. There were about 6 pop women artists that made it very big from the late 2000s into the early to mid 2010s, which included Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Kesha, and Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Nicki Minaj. Now, of course, we did have others like Britney Spears and Adele and Taylor Swift. They were also very popular, but the first 6 that I mentioned had multiple Billboard hit after Billboard hit
They killed it for
about
real.
2008 into the 2010s. So I would say till about 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
And yes, talent was still important, but the persona an artist embodied sometimes trumped their talent. This was due to the popularity of social media and especially the uprise of Twitter, gossip blogs, and so on. Twitter launched in 2008, and Instagram launched in 2011 and became more popular as the years progressed. So having a strong and interesting personality was really important, and not every artist was able to do that. If I told you or someone else to act like they were Beyoncé, you would have something to pull from, because everyone has in their mind how Beyoncé pretty much is. Performance-wise, music-wise, all of that. Same with Nicki Minaj. Like I said, she did those voices. She has a very strong persona. A lot of people would dress up as Nicki Minaj for Halloween, or at least they did back when she was extremely popular and extremely fresh and new. Same with Rihanna. She has a very distinct singing voice, so a lot of people would impersonate her. Very distinct style of singing, very distinct aesthetics. That was another thing. The aesthetics of each of these artists were very specific.
Yeah.
And this is no shade to some of the other artists. I love them. But if I did tell you, let's say in 2009, 2010, to impersonate Sierra.
I could, but some people couldn't. I would have had a moment, but everybody else is not like me, so true. Now this is just shady.
It wouldn't be as easy as the other 3 that I named. You might sing a song, but at that time she didn't have a very trademark aesthetic. She didn't have a trademark persona. It wouldn't be as obvious. And that's what we were seeing in the late 2000s to the early 2010s. We were seeing these obvious larger-than-life personas. Future may hear correction. Sierra actually did have an alter ego that was created in 2008 before she promoted, or during the promotion of Fantasy Ride. It was named, her alter ego was named Super C. However, from my observation, it was very similar to Beyonce's Sasha Fierce persona. So it didn't stand out, to me at least. And I think that contributed a lot to her success at that time. Like I said, persona was everything, had to be memorable. This even goes for an artist like Carrie Hilson. Like I said, big personas, big memorable personas that were very exaggerated personalities. And you could have been a very, very talented artist, but if you did not have that memorable persona that was good enough for the internet, because we were really into internet culture at this moment, this is when that stuff started to really take off, you were not going to have a very long-lasting career. And this whole adapting a larger-than-life persona didn't always work out for some of these artists' mental state. We've had some responses from several artists, such as Lady Gaga, where she stated that she hated the identity of Lady Gaga. She didn't want to be attached to that persona anymore.
And for so many years, I've written so many songs on this piano.
That pretty one.
Yes, and I think, oh my gosh, it's so special, this piano. I love this piano. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I went from looking at this piano and thinking, you ruined my life.
That's how you felt?
No, for during this time, I was like, you made me Lady Gaga. My biggest enemy is Lady Gaga. That's what I was thinking.
Even Nicki just said this about her pop
We've
era.
even had Beyonce say that Sasha Fierce died. That was a persona she had with her album, I Am Sasha Fierce. And then 2014 hit, which was a year where pop music took a massive shift and the electropop sound sort of died and transitioned into a more toned down sound, even though EDM and a little bit of dubstep still did pretty well. And pretty well meaning mainstream-wise well. At this time, we had Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, and Lorde, who were the main pop artists in the forefront, while Beyonce, Rihanna, and Nicki Minaj were still able to keep their crowns. While all three artists were big mainstream artists, they were all able to appease the mainstream urban audience by genre bending the heck out of their music. Rihanna actually did this the best because she made hits specifically for the urban audience, and then she made hits that were specifically for the pop audience, and then she also made some hits that were genre bending. So basically, when the electropop sound died, that mainstream electropop sound, they were able to fully embrace the mid to late 2010s urban sound.
Yeah.
These artists went through a lot. They were still criticized by the Black community, especially Nicki Minaj, because she was a rapper and a pop artist. Do I think it's fair that only 3 Black artists were allowed to be mainstream? No, but this was sadly the game.
How many times have I told you you have to be what? You have to be what?
Twice as good.
Twice as good as them to get half what they have.
The diversity as a whole in the 2010s was garbage. And to make matters worse, colorism played a huge part in the reason they were able to be marketed on a mainstream level. The industry would not invest in someone like a 7th Streeter or even a Kelly Rowland, who seemed to almost go down the direction Beyonce was heading in terms of being pushed as a mainstream success. That is definitely an issue we are still dealing with today, and this absolutely needs to change. However, I cannot ignore the fact that through their hard work and understanding the formula really well, they were able to influence pop music as well as the urban genres of music, and they reinvented the game for generations to come.
Okay. So that's another good one. I just watched one that says why the girls aren't singing like they used to. And it talked very heavily about the whole social media changing things, internet culture and things like that. In addition to artist development, which is key. I love what this person brought into the perspective about persona. That was definitely something I never considered. It's something I think we all noticed in the 2010s, but we probably didn't take time and really connect that, especially in 2014, 15 when they began to shift and you started seeing more of the real people in their music. Yeah, but then you had people who came in raw, uncut, unedited, and they weren't trying to be anything different, who just lost because they didn't do the persona thing. I think, to me personally, that's what happened in like Sierra and Carrie Hilson's careers. They didn't really take off because they showed you who they were really. And they were some of the first to receive a lot of scrutiny that I think Nicki and Rihanna didn't get until the mid-2010s. Not saying they weren't criticized before they were, but the types of criticism about maybe experimenting with sound or being a little bit more raunchy and provocative, those were things that I'm certain Carrie Hilson got first. And Sierra got it when she tried to switch and do pop. That's why Fantasy Ride was such a very horrible era, but it was such a beautiful album in my opinion. For Carrie, she came in fresh, brand new, and it was her. It was authentic. She didn't have to do anything different to be herself. And then when she tried to showcase another side of herself with The Way You Love Me, she got criticized, but now all the girls are doing The Way You Love Me. It's you know, it continues to come. I'm not saying she created anything or curated it. We're not doing that. I'm not finna get in that argument with y'all. But that was a good one. This was a good one. I love ones like this that aren't biased. You know, they have a little bit of shade in them, but they're not biased. It's just, hey, this is what's going on. This is my perspective. I try to give y'all my perspective. Yeah, I love the shifts and the transitions that we've seen in music, and I love being somebody who can actually say, yeah, I remember when it was different before streams and before everything happened, before social media. Such a cool nostalgic moment to see Rihanna go from Ponder Replay to like an anti, you know what I mean? To see Beyonce come in with Baby Boy and Crazy in Love, and then see, you know, Drunk in Love, or to see Formation and stuff like that for him. To see Nicki go from underground mixtape Nicki to pop Nicki to where she is now. I love what she's doing now. You see people more so returning to center. I love seeing Sierra go from urban crunk and pop, or whatever they called it, crunk and B back in the day, to pop, to her also bending genre. Her last album, was Jackie her last album? Was it Jackie? I think so. That album had a lot of bending within it in terms of the sounds. And Rihanna will forever be the greatest at doing that, in my opinion. You have to be fluid. Now, you cannot be so one-dimensional. But on the same side of it, social media makes artists feel like they have to be one box. And it's like, no. Art should be definitely, you know, like expressive. It should be something different each time. Because then if you're doing the same thing every time, they're going to say that you're not, that you're boring. So yeah, I think I just got to rambling a little bit. Sorry about that, y'all. But let me know what you thought about this one below. Comment, like, subscribe. Until next time. Peace.